All right, there we are. Well, welcome, Nicole. So glad we could put this together.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. You and I were just discussing this topic, and I think this is something that a lot of people have experience with, and it's kind of a hotly debated topic. But just the idea of pros and cons of changing your network marketing company. It seems like today so many people are jumping ship and moving to a different company, kind of that grass is greener on the other side mentality. Is that something that you've experienced or seen firsthand?
I have, after about 12 years in MLM, it's something I've seen quite a bit. Kind of the serial entrepreneurs versus, the people who get in and like stick it out are becoming much more rare.
Yeah, I think today there's so many distractions with new companies opening their doors, which can be a good thing. But I think a lot of people don't realize how much work it can be, with a new startup and whether or not they'll have success. But when it comes to the idea of, switching a network marketing company, any thoughts on like when is that a good idea versus just when should you just stick it out if you found a good company?
I think kind of backtrack a second there is I think social media has played into this quite a bit. We've bought into the myth that being ground floor is the best.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is a complete myth. So we see this ground floor thing and we think, oh, grass is greener over there. Let's go. Instead of being willing to stick it out. For me, I see it like a bank account or like Jeff Olson puts it in his book, The Slight Edge, he talks about the water hyacinth. Now, when you think about exponential growth, every time you start over, you got to think about planting one flower in a brand new pond. You've lost all your exponential growth that you already had going. Mm-hmm. And it's to start off so slow. So to me, it has to be a very well thought out, precise decision before you just jump companies like that, because you're literally starting all over again in a new pond.
Yeah, I think so too. I remember back in Eric Worre mentioned in his book Go Pro how so many people get into network marketing considering it almost like a lottery ticket. If they get in with the right company at the right time with the right people, it's a free ride. And it does happen on occasion, but it's rare. Just like winning the lottery, it's very rare. But you and I both know from experience that network marketing, it's a real business. It's a business that you have to learn, and it's a business that you have to work. So really, if people have the right mindset, for the most part, they should be sticking with their company. There's a lot of good companies out there, and they shouldn't be chasing after that lottery ticket, so to speak.
Absolutely. And it's kind of funny that you referenced lottery ticket, because I said that to my team the other day, that joining multiple companies isn't like going in to win the Mega Millions where your chances of success are higher when you get more tickets. It's not like that in direct sales. Your chance of success is so much higher when you stick it out with one and put your all into it. It's the exact opposite. But we do have a very much lottery mentality, especially I think here in the United States.
Yeah, that get rich quick scheme, everybody just wants it to be easy. And when it comes to, I guess, there is a time and a place that maybe it would be a good idea to look at other opportunities. But I think people have the wrong idea about that. From my experience, what I've seen, you have to examine your company. You don't always need the best. Because if you think that your company is the best or ultimate company out there, you're always going to be chasing after the best. And if that's what you're teaching in your organization, there's always going to be another company that comes out with a better product or a better compensation plan or a better leadership. And if they have that mentality of, I need to have the best, well, then they're going to be jumping ship every single time. But just the idea of having a good company with a good compensation plan, a good product, good leadership, the whole package, just stick with it. But with that said, as you and I both know from experience, there are companies out there that have a less than stellar reputation, maybe don't have the best, or how should I say this carefully, a decent product. There are some companies, especially with my background in nutrition, you look and you're just appalled at the quality or maybe what the price is. And you start to realize, okay, this isn't a real business. This is almost like, you get back to the whole pyramid scheme of moving money, and the product is just there as, oh, by the way, you can buy this stuff.
Exactly. Yeah,
so
just trying to keep it legit.
Yeah. Any ideas? Like if somebody was struggling in their business, their network marketing business, what would you look for to say, okay, maybe they're with a good company, you need to stick it out, versus, okay, maybe this company isn't the right one. What would you be looking for to make that decision to move to another company?
I've had actually a few people not in my team, organization, or even company reach out to me and ask those exact questions. When do you know when it's time to leave? And for me, it's always a gut check of where's your moral compass set. If the company's moral compass isn't the same as yours, there's a good chance it's probably time to part ways. And only each one of us individually can speak for where our moral compass is set. And sometimes it's set and you can't pick up why. It's just feeling off, but something you just know isn't right. And sometimes those gut checks will save you time, money, and a lot of emotional heartache if you follow them. And I've had a couple of those, I'm not going to lie. And I've met some people who have had a few of those too. But sometimes it's gut first. I think with us women, it tends to be more of a gut instinct before we sometimes see the actual evidence and maybe the fruit of whatever's actually going on starting to come to fruition. But I will usually ask them about their leadership first, because I've got people that are they're wanting to jump. They think, okay, maybe it's greener where she is. And I'm actually not a big proponent of, yeah, come on over, happy to have you. Well, yes, I would be happy to have some of these people. It's not always wise for them to move. And in the best interest of them, I like to say, okay, well, let's talk about your company. Let's talk about your comp plan. Why is it that you're wanting to move? And a lot of times, I'll be honest, they're very shallow reasons. My upline isn't helping me. Or I think I could get paid more over here. Or I don't think my market really likes what I'm selling. And these are all obstacles that can be totally overcome without making a rash decision to jump and start over from ground zero. You've already got a basement full of samples and catalogs, and you're already so invested that you could lose a good chunk of money having to start all over again and trying to offload these products that you have now stocked up just for the sake of being able to clear your shelves so you can start loading up on another product instead.
Oh, yeah. I was just thinking that so often working with a network marketing company is so much like a relationship. And just like you were mentioning, trying to jump ship, going to another company, it's that same mentality of somebody leaving their spouse or, the relationship because there's problems. Thinking that if they jump into another relationship, that will solve the relationship problems, which really, they probably have a lot to work on themselves before that is going to help anything. And there's no perfect network marketing company out there, right? I mean, you and I probably have experienced issues within our own network marketing company with distributors. And that's just part of the business. So it's not that one company is going to be trouble-free, problem-free, perfect, but how are our skills? Are we learning those skills? Are we really putting those skills to work so that we can make the best of what we have to offer? So, yeah, the other thing I've learned over the years, especially if you go back a long, long time, that when you're looking at the compensation plans, the compensation plans going back 20 years ago or even further are quite a bit different than they are today. So that would be one thing I would tell people is look at your compensation plan. I think in the early days, they were very limited by computing power. They were still kind of working out the bugs in their compensation plan. And today, I mean, especially in the last maybe 10, 15 years, compensation plans have gotten a lot better. a lot fairer. And yeah, there's differences from one company to another, but more or less, if you get in the compensation plan and work it, it's going to work.
Absolutely.
Have you had much experience with that?
I definitely have, but I kind of tell people the same thing across the board. If you're with an honest company and you're not having that sense that something's off, most compensation plans, I think, pay out very, very fair. They're just a little bit different in how they pay out.
Mm-hmm.
So with our company, we pay out pretty heavily on the back end of our comp plan, where most people pay less. And then most companies, I want to say probably close to average, pay out pretty heavily on the front end. So ours is flip-flopped, but both on average, most companies pay somewhere between 48 and 51% to the distributor. So they're really not paying much more. The difference isn't that different. It's just how you slice the pie and who gets that slice of pie.
I think you bring up a really good point, especially for people looking into network marketing or switching companies, and just being able to identify the compensation plan and how they're different. Because like what you mentioned, some of them pay out very heavy on the front end. And from my experience, those are great for people who are get in and work this as a full-time job. They're going to really put 100% behind their company. On the back end, are those companies that pay less up front, but more on the back end, which I think for the average person who's probably going to do this part-time is going to work out better, because they need to build a team of people, and it's not going to be as dependent on their personal efforts as it is building out that team. So you really have to evaluate, what type of person are you? Are you the type of person who's going to go out and be that sponsor monster and sponsor tons of people? Mm-hmm. Or are you going to be that person that this is going to be a part-time endeavor that you're going to need to build a team and find others to work with you and make it a long-term build, which ultimately I think ends up best for most people. But again, it depends on the person, depends on their skills and what they're able to do.
Yeah, ours has a few fail-safes in it that crack me up, but it's kind of funny because if you have one leg that just goes absolutely wild, if you're not building your width and you're constantly keeping up with how far that depth is being driven, you're not going to get paid. And I think it's really awesome that some have kind of caught on to some of the questionable behaviors of past comp plans and kind of stuck little things in there to keep people from doing what I call lazy leadership, where they just kind of like, well, I'm at the top now, I'm going to kick up my heels and I'll just show up to do Tuesday meetings for the rest of the people. Mm-hmm. But I'm not recruiting anymore.
Yes.
I heard somebody even say that. He was getting a massage and the masseuse knew who he was and said, I want to sign up. And he's like, oh yeah, I'll introduce you to somebody. I was like, really? Mm-hmm. Really? And that organization is actually having a little bit of trouble now. And I'm like, when you stop recruiting. Wow. And everybody has to recruit, and you kind of have to decide, I think when you're getting into this, if you're going to be a hobbyist, if you're just going to be pushing products, or if you want to go the whole gambit, which is the selling and distributing plus recruiting and team building. And I think some do get in just to sell to friends and family for a discount, and that's understandable. Others are like, I just know a lot of people who would like this. They get in, especially with what I do in the cosmetic realm. It's all makeup. They're like, I know like 5,000 other dance moms who would love this. And they get all excited about doing this. And then all of them just start buying, but they're not actually serious about building. It's just moving products.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's an interesting aspect too. When it comes to actually building a network marketing business, there's two ways to think about it from my experience. One is going after other distributors, trying to build leaders and those who want to build a business along with you, and those that are more product focused. And I think in a good, solid company, there has to be a nice, hi there.
This is why I build my business. Audrey, go watch Toy Story. No, I'll be back in a minute. Can you send me that quietly?
She likes to be on video. She's learning a lot.
That's the problem.
Let's see, where was I? Oh, just the balance between those who want to be distributors and those who want just to buy the product or to sell the product. And I think a lot of times you've got to watch that balance. If you're going just after distributors, after telling people about the opportunity, they can make a lot of money or they can work from home, that's great. But you also have to be careful if that's your only focus, because the reality is in this profession, it's really based around product movement, and that's what it should be. Mm-hmm. But if you go too far the opposite direction, do you have a real product that you're selling? Do you have a high percentage of people just using the product because it's a good product? Or are the people in the business buying the product just because there's an opportunity attached? And you've probably seen some companies that have gone way to the extreme versus others.
Yeah, the FTC comes knocking, they get themselves shut down for a while, paycheck stop, product stop, and it's like, oh man. And mm-hmm. Then you appreciate those fail safes in your company.
Yes.
But when you get to, I've seen it, especially with the first company I was in, they're so bent on getting you signed up and then quickly, okay, build that list of 100, nothing against that, but the first thing they have you do is start calling all your friends and family, and you want to make sure you get to grandma before your brother does, because you signed up your brother too, and then you get grandma on Autoship, and she doesn't really talk to anybody anymore, so you're trying to get Fifi on Autoship, the dog, and it gets ridiculous of just trying to get people plugged in and on an Autoship that it's so automated. We're not actually out solving people's problems anymore. We're not helping them make an income. We're not helping them get healthier. We're not helping them build confidence. It's just a machine of sponsoring and Autoship.
Yeah, and we see that so often in companies because there is a lot of income potential to be made. And quite honestly, if you are going to make a really good income, it's very difficult to do it solely on product alone. If you're just trying to do it by offering the product, obviously it would be great in a perfect world if your product was so great and you had no competition that people just shared it with everybody that they knew and just grew organically. But the reality is that there are so many different companies out there, so many different products. You probably have seen this too with cosmetics, makeup, the loyalty aspect, trying to get people to stay loyal to a particular brand or company. And that's an interesting dynamic with network marketing, because as you get into it and see that there's an opportunity where they can pay for their products or make some money, but also get healthier or use a good product, that the two really work hand in hand in order to keep that customer retention, to keep that customer loyalty. Mm-hmm. Have you seen that to be the case in your business or other companies?
Absolutely. It's just putting that relationship first and actually cultivating a relationship and building a friend network. And I've used this word before, and I try to use it somewhat lightly because I don't want it to feel, sometimes it can give a cultish vibe when you get into some of these settings, but creating culture. You walk into Apple, you don't have to see any insignia anywhere. You're an Apple. Mm-hmm. And, just kind of picking up on that vibe where people feel welcomed, they feel part of something, and building that relationship, I think, is so key above product, above comp plan, above everything else. If you don't establish those relationships with people and then build on, how can I help you? How can my product help you? How can this company help you? And how can I, as your sponsor, help you? The rest just flatlines. Mm-hmm. And if it spikes, it doesn't stay. It's kind of like having a sugar spike, If you're not giving it the protein, and that's what I feel relationships are when you're building this, is like the protein. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're just chugging Red Bulls, you're going to flatline.
I like that analogy. Yeah. Well, I think that gets back to the whole fact of culture within a company, and kind of, that topic we're discussing of staying with a company or moving. When you've been around network marketing for a while, you start to realize every company has a culture. And you kind of touched on it a little bit, but those values that basically I think come from the top down, the leadership from the owners of the company, the leadership team, that trickles down to other leaders and throughout the organization, what is that culture? Does that culture fit in with your beliefs and values? And that can either work for you or really against you. And as you experience more network marketing companies like you and I have, we've seen a lot of them. There's a lot of companies out there, and I think yours does a really nice job where there's this great vibe where they really embrace network marketing as a profession, and they like working with others in network marketing. When you go to other network marketing companies, it's kind of like, oh, you're on the other side. We're almost enemies. We can't talk, we can't work. And it's a real difficult situation to be in sometimes. So I like this idea that we're seeing, being broadened of just opening up network marketing. It doesn't have to be my company's better than your company. It's really raising the bar of the profession that, hey, we're in the same profession. Let's work together, because let's be honest, network marketing doesn't have the best reputation. And it's been earned, quite honestly, right?
It's been earned, and then some of it's like everything. There's good cops and bad cops, good doctors, bad doctors, and just like in network marketing, its blessing and its curse is network marketing can work for anybody. The curse, network marketing can work for anybody. There isn't an application to qualify you to see if you're moral or crazy before you sign up. But on the flip side, for those who've had a bad past and really want a fresh start, this has been their blessing. So it definitely can be a catch-22, but that's when building that relationship is so key, is that you know who you're talking to, who you're working with. And I think you can see what the core compass of a company is when you hang around their people and you start hanging around their top distributors. You can kind of get a vibe for what it's like. There was a company I was with for a very short period of time, and the closer I got, the more my spidey senses started tingling. And it was kind of sad because I actually really liked the product. They had a phenomenal product, but something just wasn't right. And the closer I got, I realized that's why they kept attracting more and more distributors that were nothing like me. I was all about the product, the nutrition facts that were on there. I'm like, this is awesome. This is a solid product. This could go places. And everybody else was about the comp plan. And the comp plan kept changing, and distributors were coming and going, and like hard, solid people who should be at the nucleus of helping this make this brand new company a success were just kind of in and out. And I was like, something's not right. And I just realized they kept attracting more and more people just like that. I'm like, I need to get out, and I need to get out now.
I was just thinking as you were talking about that, within the culture of the company and what you can look for. And one thing that I've noticed in some companies that can show you that they are very genuine and they want to help people. But when you want to work with somebody within the company that maybe doesn't have a direct link to you pay-wise, hey there.
Not right now.
How does that happen? In some companies, they have a very great atmosphere where if you need help, there are people there that are willing to step up and help you, even though there's no financial tie and they have no benefit whatsoever. And I think that's so cool that we can do that. But again, in other companies, it's so segregated that if I'm not making a dime from you, why should I waste my time?
They call it no cross-lining. Yeah. That was my first brainwashing.
Yes. And everybody's different. And, to an extent, you do have to balance your time, because if you are working with, a larger organization, you do have to, focus on those that are your own that you need to take care of. But there is that aspect of paying forward, helping others just because it's the right thing to do. And if you see people in the company, and a lot of people that have that same value of just helping others to raise the company up, to raise others up, because really it's the right thing to do, that might be a good indication you're in a good place. And, if you stay there, that you'll be built up, because really it's a community effort. And, sometimes what can happen is you can get enrolled by somebody who maybe be a close friend or maybe a friend of a friend. And maybe they're not as serious about the business as you are. Maybe you really want to take this, but, over time, this person kind of fades out. Where's the leadership? Is there leadership that steps up? Can you get leadership help from Crossline? Those are kind of cool things to look at within the dynamics of an organization.
Mm-hmm. I had that exact thing happen. I had three people between me and somebody I had met who was local to me. Found out she was actually my upline 4 paces up. But the thing was, she didn't get paid on me.
Oh, wow.
And so mind you, 2 years ago when I met her and we started talking, I realized, oh, wait, I'm in your downline. But I realized, because I knew the comp plan, that she doesn't get paid on me. Yet this girl was still inviting me to events. Mm-hmm. She was helping me. We were talking. We were getting together for coffee. It didn't matter. But she built that relationship up with me. And now I am almost directly under her now, because a couple people in between have left. And she does get paid on me now.
Very cool. So it worked out for the best.
It did. And the thing is had she been ugly, because she didn't get paid on me, and I'm not going to talk to you. I don't have time for you. She made the time for me, even though she wasn't getting paid on me. I was like, wow. Yeah. Like, that was really classy of her to do that. And now we have this fantastic relationship, and it's like, okay, bonus, you get paid on me now.
Exactly. And I think if we all aspire to do that more, that just really helps out the whole of our particular company. It helps out the profession, and ultimately it just helps out everybody involved. So just a really cool aspect. We'll probably have to wrap this up pretty soon, but one last thing maybe we could touch on when it comes to building your business along the lines of changing network marketing companies. What are your thoughts on actually approaching others in network marketing companies and actually proactively trying to bring them over to your company? Because we've seen this a lot. What are your thoughts on that?
It's actually entirely against our policy on this end. If I know that person's in another company, I am not allowed to approach them. So, And I was like, when I saw them, like, that's awesome. That is so classy. And I loved it. It was kind of funny because I met this girl at the grocery store and we hit it off. She was buying my groceries and I realized I'd switched purses on the fly and I had no business cards on me. And normally I get out my phone and I'll add somebody, but there was a whole lineup of people. It wasn't the time to get on Facebook. So I ran out to my car, got a Blitz card. I put my Facebook link on it and came back in. And I was so bummed out because she and I totally clicked. But as of right now, she's with another company. But I didn't know that when I started talking to her. I'm like, I would love to tell you about what I've got going on over here. She was all excited. And so we ended up hanging out. She's telling me all about this company she's with. And I was like, oh, bummer. But you know what? We ended up making really good friends. Our kids were hanging out. So sometimes it doesn't always pan out. Mm-hmm. But I was like, you know what? It was kind of awesome just being able to talk openly about each other's companies, and you don't have to feel like it's a tug of war, because I've been in that place where one person's trying to convince you their company's better and you get sucked into that tug of war if no, mine's better, and all of a sudden it's my comp plan does this, my comp plan does that.
Yep.
My honor student and my honor student.
Oh yeah. It was always explained to me that, approaching somebody in another network marketing company, again, kind of getting back to that idea of it's a relationship, is imagining that you found someone very attractive. Maybe you wanted to date them. Sorry, my phone's going off here. You wanted to date them, but you found out that they were already dating somebody else. So can you go up to them and say, hey, the person you're with, they're no good for you. You'd be better off with me. How well is that going to work?
Yeah, that's not going to fly.
Doesn't work. So why do we do that in network marketing, where we approach people in other companies saying, hey, you know what? Your comp plan is outdated. You know what? Your product doesn't work very well. Or, hey, I'm a better leader. You should come work with me. And really, they're in a relationship with another company. But on the flip side, how you built a relationship with this other woman, you're friends with her and you have a really good rapport. What can happen, I've seen this a number of times, is at some point, someone may decide their company's not right for them. Whether it's the ethics of the company, maybe they're not shipping out products, they're not paying out commissions, something. They're just not happy with their company. Who is the first person they're going to think of when they want to look around? Is it the person that said, your company sucks, your comp plan sucks, and your product sucks? Probably not. Yeah. But if you're there and you've built a relationship and you've encouraged them to continue with their company, to continue building, they're going to probably have a pretty positive impression of you. And when it comes time to evaluate their options, they may say, hey, you've been a good friend. What do you have to offer? I'd like to know what you're doing.
I agree. And we saw this about a year and a half ago when Leah Sophia ended up kind of piecing out. They're more in the direct sales realm than the MLM realm. But so it kind of affected my industry as well. We were all really saddened to see such an anchor in the beauty realm kind of shut its doors, so to speak. And a lot of people took that as an opportunity to start stalking the Sophia girls. And I'm like, that's really, really sad. And I immediately got into my Facebook page and said, look, if you weren't friends with a Leo Sophia rep 6 months ago, you don't stand a chance. I go, don't go out there. That is so disingenuous. I said, I bet all of you could right now tell me if the same thing happened to our company, you already know who you'd contact and say, hey, I'm signing up. And I go, and so does that rep. She already knows where she's going to go. And if you didn't build that relationship a long time ago, you are not going to hear from her now. Don't start stalking and poaching these people. It's going to backfire.
Yeah. And quite honestly, it's unprofessional.
Oh, downright tacky.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, we have to look at it as this profession is what would a professional do? Does a professional go prey on the victims or, are they proactively building quality relationships with people and doing what's right for the other person in their best interest?
Yeah. It's just about proper networking in general. It's
Exactly.
not always that they're going to come to you. There could be something someday that you need from them. And we always think, I think, in the form of gaining. But, on that flip side, I don't even remember exactly how you and I met, but it was kind of funny that you ended up being the one to help me first with your product line. And it had absolutely nothing to do with my personal gain of money, but it ended up being my personal gain of health.
Absolutely.
And it's like, oh, wow. So when you really take out the equation of you're out there to network for personal gain, when you can let that go and build that relationship, and your Facebook page, especially if you're building on social media, becomes a culture in and of itself aside from your company. Your Facebook is going to be a reflection of that culture. But you can set the tone for what people can expect from your Facebook page, from your leadership style, before they even pick up that phone to call you, text you, and say, hey, I need to look at this. I want to see what you have to offer. You got to set that pace. You got to set the bar way, way back. I mean, that's something that has to start today if it's not already happening.
I completely agree. And I think more and more people just need to hear this information and just act on it. And it's not always easy. It's not a short-term play. You really have to be committed to your company and the profession for the long haul, right?
Absolutely. Grass is greener where you water it. Get a sprinkler system if you have to.
I like that. Getting back to that, grass is always greener where you water it. It's not always greener on the other side because there can be issues over there and maybe bigger ones than what you're currently experiencing. So as we wrap this up, any closing thoughts? Anything you would like to share with people in terms of, if they're considering changing their network marketing company, what they should be looking at, and maybe they should just stay put?
Absolutely. Just get out a pen and paper and do it the old school way. Write out the pros and cons, what's going to happen. But don't forget to look at the long-term factor. A lot of the most successful people in network marketing were at the beginning of their company and they stuck it out. And it's not that they got in on ground floor, it's that when they got in, they were newbies and they stuck it out. Now, I don't have that opportunity. I've left my companies, but I hadn't built teams with them on the flip side either. So I wasn't uprooting people. It was just me trying to find where I fit. And if you don't feel like you fit, you really don't have a business building a team yet until you're confident in the culture with your upline that you can trust them. And if you're not picking up that vibe, you don't need to be building a team there. You need to find something else that fits you before you start plugging in and building that team. You need to trust who you're with, you need to trust the company, because it's absolutely heartbreaking and can destroy a lot of lives, this picking up and leaving for multiple companies, and they're wanting their whole team to come with them. And I think you've seen that as well. You know, some big names out there have literally picked up and moved several different ponds, and they just expect everybody to get up and go with them. And that can be detrimental to your income if that's the kind of leadership you're under and you want to stick it out and they take your whole team with you. You've got to really trust the people you're with before you start building team and driving those roots deep into that company.
I like that. Thank you so much for that thought, Nicole. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Appreciate your time today. And hopefully we can have another chat in the future. And there's so much more we can be talking about, and really just help people be successful in this profession.
Absolutely. It was exciting. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Until next time.
Bye.